start right here. You're going to raise your right hand. You're going to face the camera.
Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony you should give this court and the issue now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant of the bar shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Kindly follow the upright.
This way, sir. Go this way. Sit there.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you. If you wouldn't mind, sir, could you please state your full name for the court reporter, and if you wouldn't mind, also spelling your first and your last name.
Warren McMaster. W-A-R-R-E-N. That's my first name. M-C-M-A-S-T-E-R.
And Mr. McMaster, how old are you, sir?
26.
Back in 2012, what kind of work were you doing?
Operating heavy equipment.
And specifically, what kind of heavy equipment were you operating?
A street sweeper.
And who were you working for at the time?
American sweeper.
As of 2012, how long had you been working for them?
6, 7 years.
Now, Mr. McMaster, can you tell us, well, strike that. You operated a street sweeper, and was that the only work that you did for American Sweeping Company?
Yep.
And did you have a particular route that you swept when you worked for them? Did you have a particular route? In other words, did you do the same streets every time you went to work?
No.
Okay. So your route changed day to day?
It's 5 routes. Five routes.
5 routes, all right. And did you work 5 days a week?
Yes.
So you worked a different route each day, is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. What time, did you have a specific time that you worked?
11 to 7.
11 p.m. or 11 a.m.?
11 p.m.
To 7 a.m.? I want to direct your attention, Mr. McMaster, to the early morning hours of July 16, 2012. Do you remember that morning? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. You have to say yes or no.
Yes.
And were you operating or were you working your job as a street sweeper operator?
Yes, I was.
Now, did there come a time during the course of the evening or that morning when you were working when you were in the area of Shawmut Avenue and Harold Street?
Yeah.
All right. And at some point, did you drive your street sweeper on Shawmut Ave towards Harold Street?
Yes, I did.
And just yes or no, as you did that, did you make certain observations?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Did you eventually then turn left onto Harold Street?
Yes, I did.
Sometime after you turned left onto Harold Street, did you receive a phone call?
Yes, I did.
All right. And from whom did you receive that call?
My supervisor.
And what was your supervisor's name at the time?
Mike Gifford.
Mike?
Gifford.
Gifford. What did Mr. Gifford say to you when he called you?
To go back to corner Shawmut and Harold.
Harold. Do you remember where you were at the time you got the call from Mr. Gifford?
Albany Street.
Albany Street?
Mm-hmm.
As a result of getting the call from Mr. Gifford, did you return back to the general area of Shawmut Avenue?
Yes.
Do you remember where specifically you went?
The end of Tremont, the beginning of Shawmut.
The beginning of Tremont? Do you remember what?
End of Tremont, beginning of Shawmut, yeah.
End of Tremont as it turns into Shawmut.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember what road that was?
Tremont into Shawmut.
Okay. When you arrived there, you were operating the street sweeper when you returned?
Mm-hmm.
Who did you see when you got back?
A bunch of officers that were being kind of rowdy towards me.
There were some officers being rowdy towards you?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Were they uniformed officers?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Yeah.
Did you have any sense of why they were being rowdy towards you?
I have no idea. I don't know why they've been rowdy to me the whole time since.
Sorry, sir, could you...
I don't know why they were. I don't know why they've been the whole time since to me, too.
Do you remember when you got returned to that general area, do you remember meeting Detective Paul McIsaac?
Oh, I don't remember him.
You don't remember speaking
No,
to
I
him?
remember. No, I don't remember him.
Do you remember speaking to Detective McIsaac yesterday?
That was like, honestly, I thought that was like the first time I met him. It was yesterday.
Okay. So in your view or in your mind, yesterday was the first time you'd ever met Detective McIsaac?
Until he actually started talking to me a little bit, it kind of refreshed my memory a little bit.
Okay.
I kind of might have thought I remembered him, but not 100% positive.
Did he refresh your recollection or memory enough to remind you that you met with him last Thursday? 3 or 4 days ago?
I've never met with him prior to that.
So your testimony is
Actually,
that
no, I did. Actually, I did. My bad. I did.
you remember making a tape statement on last Thursday?
Yeah, you recorded me, yes.
Okay. And that was Detective McIsaac?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yes.
Did you remember Detective McIsaac from July 16th of 2012 when you spoke to him on tape last Thursday?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
You just testified that you did not remember meeting Detective McIsaac until yesterday.
No, I didn't remember. I actually met with him prior to that Thursday. I wasn't.
So you did meet with him on
Yes, I did,
Thursday?
yes.
All right. And when you met with Detective McIsaac on Thursday, last Thursday, did you recognize him from July 16th of 2012?
Partially, but I honestly couldn't really be 100% positive if that was the man I talked to.
So you're not 100% positive?
Yes.
And through the whole time that you were speaking on tape on Thursday, did your memory get any better, or did it just stay the same about who Detective McIsaac was? In other words, by the end of the conversation, had you remembered him any more than before?
Stay the same.
Stayed the same. All right. Going back now to the area of Shawmut and Tremont on the morning of July 16th of 2012, after your supervisor told you to return to the scene. In addition to the police officers that you called just now rowdy, was there anybody else that you remember being there?
No.
All right. The police officers who were being rowdy, were they in uniform or not in uniform?
They're in uniform.
Do you remember speaking to any uniformed officer or non-uniformed officer about what had happened before when you drove over Shawmut Ave over the Mass Pike?
There's people in unmarked uniforms. There's people in regular civilian clothes. They're all just kind of like being in my face.
Being in your face. Do you remember making a statement about what you had done a short time before when you were driving your street sweeper?
Just street sweeping the streets.
Okay. No, I'm not asking you what you did. I'm asking you, do you remember talking to anybody about what you did?
A few officers and someone in unmarked clothing, civilian.
All right. And were you talking to them all at the same time, or were you speaking to one?
Multiple times.
When you, well, let me rephrase. When you were telling your version of what took place beforehand, were you talking to one officer or more than one officer at one time?
There was multiple officers at multiple times talking at multiple times to me.
So you were telling a group of officers. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yes.
And do you remember at the time you were speaking to this group of uniformed and non-uniformed officers, you recall saying anything about having seen, while you were on Shawmut Ave between Harold Street and Marginal Road, a white SUV with a female hanging out of the sunroof, taking what appeared to you to be video of a BMW that was on Shawmut Avenue?
She could have been, making a phone call, calling for help. She could have been just someone driving by. It could have been anything possible, but there was looked like a female maybe.
What I'm asking you is, do you remember saying that to the group of officers? You did say that. And your testimony is that in addition to uniformed officers, there were also people there, police officers, or people that you believe were police officers, who were not in uniform. Is that correct?
What, when they're asking me questions?
Yes.
Yes.
You remember on Thursday when you made your tape statement, you remember telling Detective McIsaac during the tape statement, do you remember saying to him that you did remember who he was?
Objection, Judge. Leading, I would ask that you reference the transcript if that's what.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
What is it that you recall saying Thursday on tape about whether you told Detective McIsaac about the white SUV and the female on July 16th of 2012?
What else?
What do you remember telling him about the white SUV and the female that you...
She could have just been a regular. She could have just been a regular person, just bystander. She could have been. I don't even know. Just
Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't understand.
She could have been a regular bystander. She could have just been a bystander driving by, just driving by. Who knows? I didn't really have a clear view of what the situation could have been or what she could have been doing. She couldn't be doing anything.
I'll rephrase the question. Mr. McMaster, do you remember talking on the tape Thursday to Detective McIsaac about whether you did or did not tell him about the white SUV on the morning of July 16th of 2012?
White SUV.
I'm sorry?
Yes, a white SUV.
My question, though, is do you remember having a discussion with him about whether you did, about when you told him for the first time?
No, I can't remember. Like, I don't even know what he was talking about.
I can't answer.
I didn't know what he was. I didn't even know what he was trying to get at. I don't know what he's trying to say. I don't understand him.
If I understand you correctly, you're saying that you told a group of unidentified uniformed officers and non-uniformed officers on the night of July 16, 2012 about the white SUV. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm trying to figure out was whether Detective McIsaac was one of those people.
I don't know, because I wasn't really paying attention to who they were when my rights were being violated.
One moment.
I don't know who I was talking to, honestly. There's a bunch of people in my face, screaming in my face, so I can't really tell you.
Mr. McMaster, do you remember whether you heard any gunshots as you drove past the scene on Shawmut Avenue?
No, my machine's very loud and there are no gunshots.
Okay, you did not hear gunshots,
No.
is that correct? Okay.
No.
Did you ever strike that, did you ever meet with an individual by the name of Mr. Jeffrey Lyons?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember meeting with a defense investigator with whom you went to breakfast in Everett?
Yeah, the guy that paid for my breakfast.
And
yes.
I'm
Yes, I believe
mistaken,
so.
it was Jeremiah Lyons.
Yes, yeah, he paid for my breakfast, yes.
Did you ever tell Mr. Lyons that you heard 5 or 6 shots?
No.
You did not?
No.
Thank you, Mr. McMaster.
Mr. Byers, before you begin, I want to follow up on one thing. Did you just say that you don't know who you were speaking to? There were a bunch of people in my face?
Yes, they're all yelling at me, officer.
My rights were being
Yeah,
violated?
they're violating my rights, yeah.
Okay, tell me how your rights were being
They're
violated.
telling me I was going to be arrested, and they're telling me to, shut my effing mouth. They told me to sit the F down. They put their hands on my shoulders, pushed me on the ground. And I said, I didn't do anything wrong. I was just doing my job. He said, shut the F up, shut the F up. Now this cop came over and kind of like spitting in my face, kind of. And I just felt totally out of pressured and violated.
Right. And did you say that your supervisor had told you to go back to that area?
Yes.
And that was Mike Gifford?
Yes, sir.
And when you went back to that area, Mr. McMaster, was Mike Gifford there? Was
Yes,
he with you?
Yes, he was. No.
And was he with you the whole time that you went back?
Actually, no. They separated me from him. They had to sit on the curb because they didn't want us talking because they said they'd put me under arrest if I started discussing things because it was a homicide.
Okay. Mr. Byers.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I just have a few questions for you.
Sir.
Mr. McMasters, when you were called back, what's the first thing the cops did to you?
Just, be arrogant and disrespectful towards my rights and not respect me as a citizen.
Did they make you feel like you did something wrong?
Yes, like a criminal. It made me feel uncomfortable.
And what did they say to you exactly, if you can remember?
Disrespectful words made me feel totally uncomfortable. At the point I was sweating, and felt like I couldn't even make a sudden movement. Where I just had to kind of just stay still, not say nothing unless they told me to say something. Just like they're doing kind of now, they're forcing me to say I'll be under arrest and they'll put me in prison if I don't say stuff.
Did you feel they were intimidating you?
Oh yeah, yes they were.
Okay. And intimidating you not to say something to anyone about what you had seen?
Yes. Until they asked me to say something, until they directed me to tell them to say something. They didn't want nothing else being said until what was said to them was said.
And after you told them what you had seen, did they tell you to also keep your mouth shut about everything?
Yes, they told me to shut my effing mouth and sit the F down.
Okay. And after you had told them what you had seen, they still continued to tell you that let me rephrase that because that's coming out confusing. After you told them what you saw, did they continue to tell you not to say anything about this to anyone?
Yes, because there was a news crew that was there, and they tried to come up too also, and they told me if I said anything to anyone at this moment in time, that I'm going to be put under arrest.
Okay. And later on, did they also tell you not to say anything to your supervisor?
No, they didn't say. I believe so. They did not say that.
Okay. What about to anyone
They
else?
did not say that?
No, they didn't say that. They didn't say that.
They did not say that.
Okay. Now, after they talked to you a couple times, it was first uniforms officers, right?
I believe so. Yes.
And then some detectives came up to you?
There's multiple times. There's people in officers in marked uniforms. There's people in unmarked uniforms and civilian. There's multiple times. I couldn't really tell you because it was so long ago, but they were coming together like in groups of 2, 3, 4, and then there'd be one guy alone, another guy alone. And they just kept coming at me. They'd tell me to sit down and shut my mouth, and then another guy would come up and try to give me information. I was getting confused who I should talk to, where I should be standing, where I should be sitting, if I should be, hands like a dog. I felt like, should I be rolling any tricks next? I don't know what they wanted me to do.
Did at any time any of them try or ask you if they could record your conversation?
No, sir.
Okay. Did any of them at any time record your conversation?
No, sir.
Okay. And after they got information from you about what happened, did they ask you to empty your hopper out?
Yes, they told me to go to the city yard and to dump my hopper out to search through the thing.
I'm not familiar with that area. How far is it to city?
It's about a mile and a half.
Okay. And when you got there, were there any police there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many?
It was a good there was 4.
4. Okay. Were they all in uniform or some in
I
civilian?
think there was like 3 in uniform, 1 in not uniform.
Okay. And explain to us the process of emptying out the hopper. What is that like?
So it's a big trash container. You pick it up with the joysticks and you bring it up and you dump the hopper out. It dumps all the trash out from the night out of the hopper, and I just picked it up, dumped it slightly, backed up in reverse, and I just kept backing up slowly and just dumping out an even amount. scattered out.
Okay. How far out would you have dumped this out?
15. It was 15 feet
Okay. So like from this
to that wall.
here,
To that
all the
wall.
way
It's
to
like
this
20
wall
feet.
over
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Okay. So this whole area here is filled with trash from your street sweeping?
Yes, and then we raked it out with rakes and continued to rake it out wider and open it up the area more, spray it out with hoses, and just continue to scatter through the debris.
Were you doing this or the
Yes,
police?
they forced me to do it. Yeah, they made me do it.
Okay. And the police did it too?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't know, I guess, at that time, what did they ask you to look for? Let me see.
Anything out of the ordinary.
Okay. Anything out of the ordinary?
Yes.
Okay. Would you be able to know the difference between 2 grams of a projectile? How big that is?
No.
Okay. And did they at any time use what's called a skiv?
Like a shank?
Yeah. Basically something. No, not a shank. Basically something that would weed through. I guess allow soil to go through a net.
No, we just had rakes and hose.
Just rakes and hoses. Okay. And how long did that whole process take?
Like 40 minutes.
40 minutes?
30, 40 minutes.
Okay.
I honestly really couldn't tell you exact time, but I believe it was 30, 40 minutes.
Did that get you in trouble? You're obviously delayed in your job, or your supervisor knew?
No, it did not.
Okay. And is there any record kept of what time you checked out? Was it later or anything like that?
Same time.
Okay, so you left the job
I
early.
believe so. It was the same time.
Okay. When you were questioned on Thursday, how did they get you here?
Just kept calling my phone for like a week. Just kept calling me, and just saying that I better get in there or else and stuff. And just I have to get in there. And,
Or else what?
I'm gonna be in prison, locked up.
Okay. Is that what they specifically told
Yeah,
you?
they pretty much said that. They said that if I don't go in there, then I'm held in contempt. I have a subpoena, and I have to get into court.
Okay. And when you got here and they started questioning you, you mentioned that they were rowdy to you throughout this time. Did that continue?
Honestly, not really. No.
Okay.
I felt a little edgy, but not really.
Okay.
It was bad.
Now, the detective who questioned you, then they tape recorded you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it was 2 guys?
Yes.
Okay. Did one of them at any time keep insinuating things to you, like trying to suggest things to you?
So,
overruled.
Go ahead.
I felt like they kind of, yeah. Yes.
Yes.
To make sure that I knew like who he was. I didn't know you. I said, I don't know you. He's like, you do know me. Just kind of insisting and kind of going towards certain subjects, like a certain manner towards like progressing towards making me actually say something. Kind of, yes.
You felt that he was trying to make you say that you did know who he
Yes.
was. Okay. And that you did speak with him before.
Yes.
And that you didn't tell him this stuff before.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
When in fact you felt you did tell him before.
Yes.
Okay. And that you had told multiple officers this before.
Yes. Correct. Thank you.
Okay. And yesterday, when did they want to talk to you yesterday? What happened there?
They didn't really. They just made me go. They didn't care about how I got there. When I got there, parking, nothing. They just made me get there.
Where?
To a building in downtown Boston. I can't remember exactly where. The guy met me. I went there and same thing like today. The lady was kind of mean to me about getting parking. She called me a kid. She's like, "All right, kid." Like I was kind of like, I'm a grown man. I'm an adult. I have a house. I work for a living. Kind of talking down to me like I was some criminal.
And was this the police station that they had you come to?
This was.
Did it look like a police
It was
station?
buildings. Yeah, it looked like a police station, kind of. Yes.
Okay. And was it the same 2 detectives who had talked to you on Thursday?
It was one of the detectives. The other detective was there. He actually showed up. I actually kind of got rowdy a little bit because I felt disrespected. Like they're legit talking down to me like I'm some idiot.
Okay. How were they disrespecting you?
Just asking questions and acting like I wouldn't understand, or like asking questions like I couldn't comprehend a certain thing. Like and act like I should know things and I should say things when I should say things and I know how to say things. And they're trying to prep me. They're trying to prep me towards a case. Like build me up, say, God, this is how it's supposed to be, and this is how you're supposed to do it. And I felt kind of uncomfortable because if I'm going to say something about the truth, I'm going to say it for myself. And they're trying to actually prep me to how to build up on a court case.
Did you think they were trying to intimidate you into saying something that maybe you didn't want to say?
Slightly, yes.
I'm sorry, could you say that
Slightly,
again?
yes.
Okay. And were they telling you what to say?
Like 50-50 check, kind of like slightly possibility. Kind of felt like that in a way, but they might not have been exactly demanding it, like say, all right, this is what you're going to exactly say. But they kind of like was getting towards that subject, kind of.
Okay. And you said these were different detectives that you talked to, but one of them was the same?
They're both, yeah. One of them showed up when I kind of got disrespected and I raised my voice a little bit louder, like, hey, guys, seriously, I'm here trying to help out the victim, trying to help out, get this all situated and, just tell the truth of what my situation is. When I might have noticed, and they were just kind of, one of the guys came in like he was going to try to, like, set me straight.
Okay. And did he set you straight?
No, he didn't.
How did he try to set you straight?
I just walks in the room.
How was
like,
the
just like he did today. He's telling me to not get up and not go nowhere, stay right there. He goes downstairs, he's like, yeah, get up. You mean my food? He's like, get up now. We're going to go upstairs now. Like, kind of like pushing me around.
And what part did they cover with you yesterday? What did they talk to you about yesterday?
About where I was, where I was, the vehicle, where, like, they're just asking questions about where the vehicle was, where exactly the vehicle was, how they swept up, glass debris, they swept up any type of weapons or anything in that matter. I told them that I was in the course of where one of the vehicles were, that I could have just been driving by.
Did they tell you not to say anything?
No.
Okay. Did they tell you or suggest to you what you should say when you came to court?
Slightly, like, to kind of prep me towards what I should be, what they were going to ask and what the situation would be, what would occur in this time and fashion right now.
Were they recording you?
No.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did you notice a difference of when they talk to you, when the police talk to you, when they're recording you versus when they're not recording you?
Yes.
Okay. What's the difference?
Just more open about it. More like, it wasn't less direct. It was kind of more free, like, didn't care, like, open manner and matter.
Is that you're describing they were more open with
Yeah,
you?
more open. We didn't just don't in front of us. When I went there the first time, it was just kind of like sit there and stay still and answer these questions how they're going to be answered. And when we're there, it's kind of just like sit back and put your feet up on the table if you wanted to.
So are you saying, sir, that when they record you, they're much nicer to you and
Yeah,
open?
they're more strict when they recorded, and when they didn't record, it was more kind of like you could say what you had to say, but then like, and if you did, they were trying to like, you could just kind of, it was more or less like scripted kind of when they first started. It was more scripted kind of when they first asking questions.
And did
More
you,
scripted
Like there was more.
when it was recorded?
Yes,
or when
when
it
it
was
was recorded.
Okay.
all in all, and actually, let me ask you this about yesterday again. I want to follow up with this. Were there any prosecutors there when you were there yesterday?
I have no idea.
Any of these three people sitting up here there yesterday?
Mr. Wang over there, or Chang, whatever his name is.
Mr. Lee?
Mr. Lee, yeah.
Okay, he was there?
Yes.
Okay. And did Mr. Lee question you at all?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Was he being rowdy with you at all?
I got upset with him.
Okay. And why?
It's the way he was talking down to me, kind of like I was, I didn't acknowledge certain things when I should have.
Were they blaming you for driving through the crime scene at all?
Yeah, he was telling me that, it's like, there was a TV in there, and he's trying to show me, like, where'd you point? Like, where were you with the machine? And I was like, right there, and he kept trying to get me confused a little bit. And then I was like, he's like, there won't be a TV there for you to point your fingers at, and just like kind of like talking. Like, I'm like, all right, obviously there's not going to be a TV there, and if there was, that kind of just make me feel like kind of was dumbfounded, kind of dumb.
Did you think that they, at any time, and I'm talking about the 3 times you spoke with the police, did you ever feel that they were trying to guide you further to the right end of the street as opposed to closer to the car?
No.
Okay. And how far from the BMW did you pass by?
15 feet.
15 feet? Okay. Did anyone ever suggest to you that you should say you were further away?
No.
Okay. Let me just check and see if I have any further questions. One moment. All right, when you were there that night, you were the only car going by, right? After the light-colored
It wasn't a
SUV
car, it
left?
was a piece of equipment.
Grounds?
Think of what Mr. Pastor saw that evening or his observations.
Thank you.
of the hearing. This is really an issue about whether he disclosed certain pieces of information to Detective Isaac. I don't think that's what he saw.
Well, to any officer.
Saying.
What was the question?
I didn't hear Mr. Lee's objection, so I'm not.
I think he was objecting that you're trying to go beyond the scope of what is truly an issue here. What was the question?
The question was, when he drove by with a street sweeper, were there any other cars present?
You may answer.
First off, it's not a car, it's a piece of equipment. Second off, I believe there was a taxi, might have been like on Tremont Street. There's always a taxi over there, but there was cars parked.
Was the taxi behind you or in front of you?
To my right.
Okay. Is that before you turned onto the street where the shooting occurred?
I don't know if there was. I didn't see the shooting, so I didn't know right away if there was even a shooting until I pulled up and seen glass broken.
When you say to your right, what street?
Coming down Harold. It was
Coming down
Tremont,
Harold.
Right, yes.
Okay, got it. And may I get one of the exhibits so we can see where he was, Judge?
Have you heard on this?
What?
Again, I don't know what Mr. McMaster's factual account of what took place has anything to do with the specific issues raised at this hearing, which is whether Mr. McMaster disclosed at the time of his interview about the white SUV and the female.
Mr. Baez, how are the existence of other cars relevant to this?
I'm trying to see what this witness told the police by first asking him what he saw, and then I'm going to ask him if that's what he told the police. That's clearly relevant to me.
Why don't you ask him what he told the police? That seems to me the gravamen of the motion.
Can you tell us, sir?
Judge, I would object to that as well. I think
No, overruled as to that.
I'm going to show you the exhibit, sir, and I'd like for you to tell us what you told the police where you were when you drove by. Okay?
Can't see it. Okay.
This is Mark.
Offered as an exhibit?
Yes. I want to put this up here so we can see
Okay.
a little clearer. This right up here is the, I guess, a diagram of where the BMW may have been.
For the BMW, might have been back a little bit more. First
Okay.
off.
Where did you tell the police you drove your street sweeper through? Can you point exactly to
Well,
that?
you won't be able to really tell because that back half was missing.
Okay. Sure. If it were further back, is what you're saying? A little further back? Okay. Where on the side of the street, in comparison to this corner of the street, would you say you drove the street sweeper by?
Can I use a stick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so it's coming down this way right there. See this street not on the board?
Right.
There's a street right there.
Right.
It should be on the board, but it's not on the board. So it's coming down, right side gutter, sweeping.
Right.
And I came out like this, right on this thing, kept sweeping like this, kept going like that after, like that, and all the way back down.
Okay.
Bam, bam.
How far from the right side of the road do you operate your street sweeper?
I'm right on that gutter.
I'm sorry?
On the gutter, curb, gutter side.
And how wide is your
9 feet.
heavy machinery?
9 feet.
9 feet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when you arrived today, sir, did anyone attempt to question you some more?
No.
No.
Oh, actually, yes.
Who was that?
This fella right there kind of walked up to me and said, "Don't be scared." And I was like, "Yeah, do I look scared?" And I said, I don't really have to answer. I don't really want to talk to him, so.
Okay. For the record, the witness identified Mr. Lee Entire.
Well, no, he didn't, but you did. He pointed in that direction.
Thank you. Thank you.
Was pointing
We'll
to Mr.
accept that
Leontier.
it's Mr. Leontier. Anything further?
One moment, sir.
We have a side document. Hold on a second.
I'm sorry, Mr. McMasters. I've never seen a Boston street sweeper, so you have to forgive me. How are the brushes on the street sweeper? What do they look like exactly?
They're like, steel. You got a little, look like a broom.
Okay.
Circular.
How wide are they?
1.5, 2 feet.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier in your testimony that the person who was, I guess, hanging out of the white SUV may have been calling for help, may have been a bystander. You don't really know.
Yes.
Did anyone ever suggest that to you?
No.
Overruled. The
Okay.
answer may stand. Anything further?
So that's just basically what you're assuming?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions.
Anything further?
Mr. McMaster, call being asked a couple of questions about when you went back to Frontage Road to empty your hopper. Do you remember those questions, sir?
Yes.
Yes? When you went back to Frontage Road, you said that the police were there, uniformed police. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, is it your testimony that they're the ones that told you to empty the hopper?
Yes.
All right. And you participated in that, correct?
Yes.
So they let you rake, they let you empty the hopper, they let you participate with them in going through what was in the hopper. Is that
Yes.
your testimony?
Yes, correct.
All right. Did they help you?
Yes.
So it was a big team effort, all of you
Oh,
guys
yes.
doing it together?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And now, you said that when you were asked by your supervisor, Mr. Gifford, to return to the area, he said, did he ask you, did he tell you why, or did you ask him why you were being asked to go back to the area?
I asked him why. He said, just get over there now.
All right. And then anything more than that?
No.
All right. And when you got back there, you remember telling me that you parked your street sweeper on Marginal Road?
When I got there, or when did
When you returned there?
tell you?
Yes.
So you were there?
I'm asking you, do you remember telling me that you returned to the scene and...
Objection, Judge, improper impeachment.
No, overruled.
Do you remember saying that when you returned, you parked your street sweeper on Marginal Road?
Marginal. I believe that was Marginal Street, yes.
Okay. And your testimony was that when you got there, there were a bunch of uniformed police officers rowdy and in your face.
Yes.
And you have no idea why they were doing that?
Yes, well, I do believe why. Because they were all in my face yelling and screaming that there was a homicide and saying it freaking in my face, you know?
So
What
when
was I
you...
gonna say?
I'm sorry.
I felt it, you know.
So you pull up
Chastised.
after being asked to return, and a whole bunch of uniformed cops come up and start yelling at you?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. And what are they yelling at you for?
Objection, Judge, call.
What are they yelling at?
How's he gonna know?
I'll rephrase. What are they
Thank you.
What are they yelling at you? What are they yelling at you?
Every which thing possible they could yell at me for. My shoes weren't tied, I think.
Give us a couple of examples, Mr. McMaster. What
One
were
second,
they
my shoes
yelling
aren't tied
at
right
you?
now. Hold on.
Excuse me?
1 second. All right, good. Yes.
What did they say to you? What were they yelling?
Shut my mouth. Shut my fucking mouth. Sit the fuck down. You're gonna be fucking arrested. Fucking fuck.
That's what they started
Oh, they're
with?
fucking everything up on me. They're swearing everywhere. Which way they could have it. Almost spit in my face, pretty much.
That's what they started with?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So disrespectful.
So you hadn't said a word, and they started to tell you to shut up?
I walked right up. They're pretty much going at me.
All right. They told you to shut, and had you said a word by then?
I said a couple words.
What were the words you said?
Hi.
You said hi, and their first response was shut the fuck up?
Almost, pretty much. I couldn't
Okay.
tell you exactly what the first word was. I could be like, hey, they said hi too first.
You said hi.
They said hi, and I said hi, and then we both shook hands and said hi, and then we were just, it was just ready to go. They're ready to go at me. They're ready to start questioning me, start cross-examining me, start, throwing a box of gloves punches at me. That's what I felt. That's how I felt. I felt disrespected and violated.
Okay. You and I can't talk at the same time because
Okay.
Ms. King, the reporter, can't get it down. You said hi, and they told you to shut the fuck up. Is that what you're telling me?
They said hi too.
Oh, they said hi. Hi, shut the fuck up?
Pretty much.
Okay. Then they proceeded to yell at you that this was a homicide investigation. This is now after you've said just hi.
Objection, Judge, leading.
Overruled.
Pretty much.
Okay. What other things did they yell at you?
And when the news crew tried to come up and try to, ask a question, said you're going to go to jail. It's a homicide investigation. You better shut your effing mouth. Don't say nothing to no one if you talk to someone right now. Other than us and you supervisors and all the people that are around us that are not inside that facility that shouldn't be there, that you'll be arrested.
Were you trying to talk to the press?
No.
Was the press trying to talk to you, at least in your mind? Were they asking you
Oh,
questions?
yeah, they're walking right up to me trying to talk. Okay.
So are you talking about cameras,
Yes.
microphones,
Yes.
standing right next to the police in the middle of the scene?
Yes.
Okay. And they're asking you questions about what you
They didn't
saw?
ask me any question. They were walking towards to ask a question. It was pretty much going, hey, could we, and then, the cops told them to step back, and they said, hey, if you answer any of these questions, you're going to be put under arrest. Shut your effing mouth.
All right.
Sit there.
Now, yesterday you came to the district attorney's office. You said some building. You remember it being the district attorney's office?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
And you pointed to me and said that I was there?
yeah, you were there.
All right. And were either one of these two people there?
Objection, Judge. Can we
I
get...
couldn't recollect.
Hold on. Stop for a moment, if you would, sir.
Yes.
When I would ask, when I pose an objection, that Mr. Lee stop questioning the witness.
What is the objection?
My objection is he's not allowing the witness to finish his answer.
Exactly.
And to specifically state when, where is where. The question is unclear as to whether he's referring to the crime scene or to yesterday at the district attorney's
I
office.
think the question was yesterday at the district attorney's office. The witness said, yeah. Put a question.
And Mr. McMaster, do you recall being introduced to me yesterday?
Yes.
Do you recall that I introduced myself and said, hi, I'm Mark Lee?
Mark Lee, yes.
Do you remember what your response was?
Oddly. No. I don't remember. I said hi. All right, I'm Warren McMaster.
Do you remember looking at me and saying, what's up, Lee?
Yeah.
You do
I said
remember
yes.
that? Okay.
Hey.
And we talked a little bit about what your trial testimony in this case would be. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
All right. And at one point, I asked you to slow down so that when it came time to tell the members of the jury what you saw, that they could understand. Do you remember that, sir?
No, I don't remember that.
Leading questions here.
I don't remember that. I remember you being kind of disrespectful towards me.
The answer may stand. The witness does not recall that.
Tell me in your mind what I was doing to
You're
be
just rude.
disrespectful.
You're rude like you're kind of being right now. You're kind of being rude towards me.
How so?
Just how so you are. It's just how I felt it. I just kind of felt that vibe off you, and I got that vibe, and that's what I got. So that's how it is.
So you became upset with
Yes.
me. Now, you remember Mr. Baez worked with you on that diagram just now,
Yes.
5 minutes ago?
Yes.
All right. And you remember you took the pointer and you showed the court where you were driving your street sweeper?
Where I was operating, yes.
Remember that, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Said
Did
that.
anyone tell you to say that?
No, but you guys are kind of like, volunteering.
Are you
I
test-
said that before, yeah. Yes, I did. I just said that.
What you testified to earlier, are you saying that that's what you did, or that was what you were told to say?
You guys are pretty much, we're all working there, and you guys are like, oh, we'll show them where you were working. It wasn't integrity. He's like, oh, I know the guys are like, well, it was the right side. I said, yeah, it was the right side curb. You guys were all working together trying to figure out this little scenario. And I was just telling the truth, and you guys are working with it. Like, oh, it was right there, how it was. Like, yeah, it
So
kind of
what-
was. When
what
I
you
really think about the situation, yeah, you guys were.
So what you said to the court 5 minutes ago when you used the pointer to show where you were driving, is that the truth?
That's where I was, yes.
That's where you were, and that's what you did?
Yes.
Now, yesterday, when you came to the district attorney's office, you made an appointment to come and speak at 1 o'clock with the members of the prosecution. Is that correct?
You guys made the appointment.
Okay. Well, you agreed to come at 1 o'clock.
I was forced to go at 1 o'clock, or I would have been arrested. I did that again.
Who told you that you would be
You guys
arrested?
did. What do you mean? What are you talking about, dude? You know what you did.
Who told you?
You guys know you violated my rights yesterday, too. Come on, buddy. You know what you're doing.
All right, Mr. McMaster.
I just honestly feel no disrespect, and I'm sorry, Your Honor, but
right,
she's got me really trying to get me confused and trying to get me aggravated like you did yesterday.
All right.
Because you even said they're gonna try to get you mad, and they're gonna try to get you to blow up and get angry, and that's exactly what you tried to do to me yesterday, and that's what you're trying to do to me today.
All right. I don't want you to get angry.
I'm not either, honestly, Your Honor.
But what is important is that the question is asked before the answer is given.
Yes.
And then you give whatever the truthful answer is in your mind. No one's going to put words in your mouth in this courtroom. Do you understand?
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
So you take your time,
Yes.
but let the question be asked, and then you give your answer.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Lee, what is the question to be put to Mr. McMaster?
You remember being asked to come to the district attorney's office at 1 o'clock yesterday.
Yes.
All right. And you didn't show up at 1 o'clock, did you?
No, I didn't.
All right. You showed up instead at 3 o'clock.
Yes, I did. I waited till 4 o'clock. 4:30, almost.
And you were upset by that.
No, I wasn't. I was like almost sleeping.
And did I, at some point, do you recall my asking you, Mr. McMaster, have I done anything wrong?
No.
You
But,
don't-
if you don't mind, prior to the other question, they did the same thing to me last time where, I might show up a little bit late and they made me stay 2 hours and wait. To the point where I fell asleep.
My question to you, sir, is yesterday, when I told you that you would need to slow down and you got upset with me, do you remember that I asked you, Mr. McMaster, have I done anything wrong?
You didn't say slow down. You used whole different words. You said whole different words. You weren't saying slow down.
What were the words? What were the words you?
I can't really recollect everything, but it was multiple things where it was like disrespectful towards me. And,
Tell us how it was disrespectful.
You just talked down to me.
Excuse me?
You talked down to me.
How so?
Also, you did.
Did I
Can't
ask
every
you
word
to?
on word, but you disrespected me.
I see. And
Judge, I'm going to object that this is...
I'll see you at sidebar.
framed you for your open ABDW case. You remember saying that?
Yes.
Right? You remember saying that you were framed?
I didn't say framed.
What did you say?
I said, they said that they were out to get me.
And that one of the officers from the morning of July 2nd was out to get you, and that's why he put an ABDW case on you. Is that fair?
Hold on a second, sir. I think it was July 16, Mr. Lee,
Yes,
not
I'm sorry.
July 2nd.
July 16th of 2012, that one of the officers from that morning was out to get you, and therefore he put an ABDW charge on you.
Falsified charges.
Falsified charges.
evidence.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Falsified charges, falsified evidence,
Falsified.
falsified statements.
Now, at Frontage Road, Mr. McMaster, is it your testimony that there are hoses there with running water to spray down equipment?
Yes.
There are hoses?
Yes.
And there were hoses there in 2012?
Yes.
Okay, and you used those hoses?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, there was a hose. Yeah, there was a hose there.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I heard you say, I
There was a
believe
hose there.
There
Yeah,
was a hose there.
yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Byers,
No further questions.
let me ask Mr. McMaster, when you went back to the front, or when you were directed to the Frontage Road lot, That's what, the DPW yard of some sort?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you emptied the sweeper and then raked it out. Was your supervisor with you at that time?
Yes, he was.
That is Mike Gifford as well?
Yes.
Was he the only supervisor on that night, or were there others?
Yes. Only one.
Only one?
Yes.
He's the fellow you principally dealt with at that point in time?
Yes.
All right. And I think you said you had... Did you say you worked for American Sweeper for 7 years?
At that moment, it was 6 to 7.
I'm sorry?
At that moment in time, it was like 6 to 7 years.
At what moment in time would that
It was
be?
actually 6 years. 2012, whatever it was.
All right. Well,
July. The date of the incident was
was 2012.
yes. At that moment in time, I was there for 6 years.
All right. But you're 26 now?
I might have been just incorrect. I might have been. I started when I was 17 and a half, so 18. So it was like 4, almost 5 years at the time.
Well, you weren't driving a city street
No, I was working.
sweeper at age 15.
I was working in the airport, doing shoveling and working as taking care of silent equipment and just getting stuff like looked at. Prior to that,
Okay.
non-operational.
How long were you operating a sweeper?
At that moment, it was 2012, 4.5 years at that time. I honestly didn't realize what the time and date was. I got my times mixed up in years.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank
you
you.
may step down and watch your step,
Yes,
please.
sir.
Commonwealth.
I'm going to call Edward Boudreau.
Ready, let's go.
Stop your face quickly, raise your right hand.
Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony you should give this court is now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant at the bar shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God? Thank you.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you. If you wouldn't mind, could you please identify yourself for the court reporter, and if you wouldn't mind, please spelling your first and your last name.
Edward Boudreau, E-D-W-A-R-D, B-O-U-D-R-E-A-U,
And can you tell us by whom you're employed?
Boston Police Department.
How long have you been with the Boston Police Department?
Approximately 22 years.
Where are you currently assigned?
District 4.
And what area of the city does that cover?
That covers the South End, the Back Bay, Fenway, Kenmore.
How long have you been assigned to District 4?
Approximately 21 years.
Officer, I want to direct your attention to July 16th of 2012. Were you working on that date?
Yes, I was.
What tour were you working?
I was on the midnight shift.
And that goes from midnight to 8 a.m.?
Quarter of 12 at night to 7:30 a.m.
I want to direct your attention more specifically to the time around 2:30 in the morning. At around that time, were you requested to respond to a shooting scene at Harold Street and Shawmut Avenue?
Yes, I was.
When you responded to that area, did you go with somebody else, or were you alone?
I was alone
And how did you get there?
with a marked police cruiser.
Where did you go specifically, if you can remember?
I responded to the Marginal and Shawmut side of the bridge.
Hold on 1 second, officers.
I was there when it arrived.
Okay, so he arrived after your arrival.
That's correct.
And did you ever learn that individual's name?
No.
Did you have any conversation with him?
Not that I recall.
All right. And specifically, again, if you could just remind us, what were you asked to do with respect to that person?
Sergeant McHale told me that there would be a street sweeper coming back to the scene that may have some evidence in it, and to just hold it there until further notice.
All right. And did the street sweeper remain inside the individual who's operating the street sweeper remain inside the street sweeper, or did he come out?
If I recall, he just stayed inside of it.
Were there other uniformed officers there that you remember?
There was.
Who else do you remember being there?
I know Officer Michael Pankovich was there.
And anybody else that you can remember?
There was an officer from District 1. I don't recall his name.
How long would you say you spent there in the vicinity of the street sweeper?
If I recall, maybe an hour.
All right. During the course of that hour that you were there, did you ever see any officers cursing at the individual who was operating the street sweeper?
No.
Did you ever hear anyone telling him to shut the fuck up or that he would be arrested?
No.
During the time that you were there, did any members of the press make their way to the corner of Marginal Road and Shawmut Ave?
They may have been on the corner.
Was that area roped off by crime scene, or was that a separate area?
I believe that was a separate area.
Do you remember anyone from the media either speaking to the operator, the street sweeper, or in your mind making an attempt to speak to the operator, the street sweeper?
I don't recall that.
At some point during that hour, did you ever see the operator get out of the street sweeper?
I don't recall. He may have.
Did you ever see him interact at any time, whether from the inside of the street sweeper or on the outside of the street sweeper, with any officers who were at the scene?
I believe Sergeant McHale may have spoken to him.
All right. How would you characterize, if you can remember, their conversation? Was it heated? Was it calm?
I don't remember anything being heated. I wasn't right next to them, so I don't know what they said to each other.
Did you personally interview the operator, the street sweeper at any time?
No.
Thank you, officer.
Thank you.
Mr. Myers.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
What time did you arrive at the scene that evening?
Approximately 2:40.
So this was approximately 10 minutes after the incident?
If that's yeah, the report said like 2:37, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many police officers were there when you arrived?
I don't know. I went to the other side. I don't recall.
Okay. When you say you went to the other side, where exactly is that?
I went onto Marginal Street and the Shawmut Ave side of the bridge.
And that's because the crime scene had already several officers there?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. 2 police cars behind the BMW?
Maybe.
And then another one blocking off Herald Street?
Perhaps.
Okay. So you've got 3 police cars blocking off a certain crime scene, correct?
Objection.
If you know that to be the case when you arrived there, you may answer.
I went to the other side. I don't know what police cruisers were on the other side.
And when you say the other side, you're referring to Marginal Street?
No, I'm talking about Herald and Shawmut.
Herald and Shawmut. So in front of the BMW?
Correct.
Okay. And where's your vehicle parked at this time?
I went over to Marginal and Shawmut.
Okay. And now that you're stationed there, there are multiple officers there. A street sweeper just comes on through the crime scene.
No.
Objection.
Okay. You testified under direct examination that that the street sweeper went by after you were present at the scene, correct?
It was brought back to the scene
prior to you arriving to the scene, a street sweeper had gone by?
Well, is that what you learned?
That's what I learned.
You didn't see it?
No, sir.
So prior to you arriving, you had no knowledge of this street sweeper?
Correct.
Okay, and once you arrived, someone told you a street sweeper came by?
Correct.
And that was Sergeant McHale?
Correct.
And Sergeant McHale then made a call for him to come back?
I believe so.
Okay, and then he instructed you to specifically stand by or wait for have the street sweeper wait there?
Correct.
Okay, now you don't even recall speaking to him, right? The street sweeper?
I don't recall it.
Okay, and so therefore you really can't testify as to what interactions he had with anyone?
Correct.
Okay, and you can't even testify to any interactions you had with you because you don't even recall talking to him?
Yeah, I don't recall. I may have, but I don't recall.
May have, but you don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay, and all you remember is that you saw Sergeant McHale speaking to him?
Correct.
And that's the full extent of what you remember that evening about the street sweeper?
Correct.
Can I have just a moment, Judge? Street sweeper was there till what time?
I don't recall.
Several hours, right?
Maybe.
Okay. He didn't just show up and leave, right?
Oh, no.
Okay. You were asked to make sure he was there for a while, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you obviously put this in your report that he was present, correct?
He?
The street sweeper.
Yes.
Okay. Because it's important to note things in your reports, correct?
Yes.
Especially something as significant as a street sweeper being at the scene.
Yes.
Yes, okay. I have no further questions.
Officer Boudreau, you were asked to, the term you used was secure the street sweeper?
Yes.
And what did you mean by that?
Sergeant McHale told me when he came back to the scene, just make sure he stays there.
And you were asked by Mr. Baez about interactions. If officers or were you close enough such that if anybody had been screaming or yelling at him, would you have seen that?
Objection, Judge. Calls for speculation. This witness has already testified that he can't testify as to any
That's right.
interactions with any other.
Well, he's testified he didn't hear anything else. Question now is how close he was. You may answer that.
What was the question again?
The question was, without regard to what was being said, were you close enough such that if officers were yelling at the operator, would you have noticed that?
Correct.
Is it noted anywhere in your report, officer, how long the operator, the street sweeper, remained there?
No,
So do you know how long he remained there?
I don't.
Thank you.
Well, let me ask you, sir, you wrote a report in this case?
Yes, sir.
And have you seen that report today?
Yes, I have.
And the report reads, a short time later, at the request of Sergeant Clifton McHale, I secured a street sweeper from American Sweeping Company on Marginal Street. Correct?
Yes.
What did you do to secure that machine?
He just pulled over to the side on Marginal Street, and we kept him there until a person of higher authority made the call, the decision to speak to him or whatever they want to do with him.
All right, and you think that may have been an hour?
Possibly.
And during whatever period of time, up to an hour that was, how did you keep him there?
Well, there was several officers on that side, and we just We told him to stay there.
Did the operator try and leave at any time?
Not that I recall, no.
And at any time did you have to command that person to remain?
Not command.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. Please watch your step.
I will call Michael Gifford.